Okay, here we have the chronic pain cycle. And in this session, I want to talk about why pain, stress, and anxiety, it basically increases the pain level and it becomes like a loop. It then continues the chronic inflammation. It can even be like constant, even more nerve pain, if it's nerve pain someone's suffering from. When they are in the sort of pain response, but not only that, when their anxiety or stress starts to take over. Okay, so I'm not going to go into everything about the hormones to do with pain because that's a little bit more complex. But what I'm going to explain that is when someone is in pain, okay, no matter what the type of pain they have, the body will tense up. So the muscles will tighten up. So you start with the pain and the body tightens up to protect itself. Okay, it's almost like as if it's trying to shield itself. Now, I want you to think about situations where people maybe are physically assaulted or they've been hit with something, okay, an accident or something. The body then it retrieves and it wants to kind of hide, and it goes into a little shell, so the body kind of tries to protect itself. When we're in pain, we often respond like that. The body tightens up because in some way it's like an automatic response. It is trying to contract or trying to hide or get down. So that is one of the things that can that does happen with pain. So say for example you have a back problem or you have nerve damage. What happens then is that if you're not mindful and you are not managing your pain in different ways, okay, is that as the muscles tighten, the circulation gets reduced. And when the circulation gets reduced, all sorts of things start happening in the body, right? So we don't have the same energy flow, not just about blood flow, but energy flow. The body's not getting oxygenated. The body is not feeling as relaxed. When the body starts tightening up, it starts doing all sorts of things and it can start producing then different, all sorts of things like stress hormones and things. But basically what the body then starts getting into inflammation. Okay. And inflammation then leads to more pain and sometimes different pain. Then the joints and things start to feel more inflamed and we start having more problems, which reduces people's want to move. They want to be less active when they're in pain. It's just a natural response, okay? Because in some ways we have this inbuilt survival response to make sure that we do not do further damage. Now, the reality is, in modern life, a lot of pain is actually from our lifestyle, the way we sit, the way we drive our cars, the way we walk, bad posture. There's a lot of pain that is either caused by that or exacerbated, or it might be using certain joints. Think about children now, how much they use a mobile phone, and they've been doing that from a young age. So what I always think is, what's going to happen to their finger joints? Okay, because that's overuse. We see repetitive injury conditions in a lot of different industries. I know I have a lot of friends who have been massage therapists and they had repetitive injuries that meant that they couldn't be massage therapists anymore very young because of this overuse of certain joints. Okay, so we can cause damage to our body in all sorts of ways, right? And also, of course, we can be in accidents. We can have some sort of injuries that are easier to repair than others, right? And the body does have a great mechanism to be able to heal itself from lots of things. But often if we are not relaxed, if we are not in a calm response, the body continues in the vicious circle, and I'll go back to that in a few moments. But when you have reduced movement and you are less active, that can give you less energy and poor sleep. Now, sometimes you've got to be cautious. It depends on what the conditions. So, for example, years and years ago, I was diagnosed with ME. Now, it appeared as if there was other conditions I had with it that had caused that. I did have pain, but the exhaustion, I had an exhaustion which was separate from that, it was causing problems to the adrenal glands. It was causing problems to my body being able to metabolize my energy. So in that situation, it wasn't the pain that was stopping my movement, it was exhaustion. So sometimes when you're helping clients, you've got to kind of be aware there can be what is the main problem and what is the sort of side effects or the other things of that. Sometimes we can get it backwards, and then that can lead to further problems with clients. But for clients who have got into the pattern where the pain started, and then they started to have less energy and reduce their movement. And we see sometimes that with certain types of fibromyalgia. Some types of fibromyalgia, it depends what's going on, particularly when people get severe ME and severe fibromyalgia. You've got to be careful in how much movement they have, because sometimes the slightest movement can actually increase and cause a lot of problems, and that's another story. But what we've got to be aware is when the body is less active, when we have reduced movement, there is all sorts of toxic buildup in the body and in the muscles. Okay, so the body is also not able to generally detox the way it normally would. And, you know, again, think of energy, chi, as well as blood flow. Now, when you have less energy and less motivation as well, because these are all things that can happen when you start to feel less movement, there's a whole sluggishness goes in the body that affects your sleep. Pain will affect sleep as well, okay, especially when it's really severe pain. So pain management involves quite a few things, but the best way to tackle it is include stress management and relaxation techniques. Obviously, help people look at the diet, because there is many things in a person's diet that will increase inflammation and will actually increase their pain, no matter what the cause of the pain is. Because certain foods, certain things will basically just cause inflammation, and any inflammation in the body will increase your pain level. When we have less energy and we have poor sleep, you're waking up, you're not refreshed, you get foggy brain, you can't concentrate, you just can't do things the way you used to. You then can have a lot of frustration because you have resistance, right? Now, we live in a society where there's a lot of conditioning and that we should be doing this, we must do this, that's what you're supposed to do. A lot of these things, when people are have health conditions or they have pain issues, they naturally want to get on with their life and do the things that they want to do. But the problem is when they're not in a calm state and accepting of that pain at that point. And I don't mean that you're accepting that you're going to lie down to it. That's not what I mean. But when you are not accepting and just being fully present, right, okay, this is what I'm experiencing at this moment. If you don't just accept that, and what I mean by that is be in a least resistant state. If you're not in that state, what happens is you're causing friction. You're fighting against the pain. And if you are resistant and you are frustrated and you're angry or stressed and frustrated about what you're feeling, well, guess what that triggers? That triggers more stress hormones, which increases inflammation, which increases more pain. Now, when you get more pain, that gets more worrying for somebody, it gets more frustrating. It can be very disabling. Okay, I know, I've been there. And I do have, other than having, I've been someone that when I was diagnosed with me, I was also diagnosed with fibromyalgia. I've had nerve damage to areas in the face, which are very hard to treat. So far, they've not really been able to treat it. But also I've had real structural issues with my face and had injury and trauma. So I know what it's like when you're in constant pain, or if I've had also back injuries. I've done things to myself and have had frozen shoulders. I've done all sorts of things. But it took me probably a while to accept, I suppose, and even though I kind of knew on a conscious level that all these things increase your tension, increase your inflammation. Often when we're in this situation, and often when we're just getting about our lives, a lot of us live our life constantly just in the survival response, and particularly if you're living with a chronic health condition or a condition that has chronic pain related to it, it's so easy to get into constantly being in this survival response because you are very frustrated with life. You're just trying to do your best and everything might feel like a challenge. But the problem there is what you're doing is on an unconscious level, you're fighting with it. And that brings you back to this constant cycle, and it continues. Because what will exacerbate pain is your frustration. What will exacerbate pain is your anxiety. What will exacerbate your pain is all the stress and all the things that you're getting stressed about that you can't do, that you wish you could do, and you're worried about when is the pain going to get worse, these kind of things. Now, pain can be, there's a lot of theories that the way that the pain signals work in the body, that after an injury, you shouldn't feel pain. It's almost like it's just the body kidding on. I would say that I'm not saying it's a myth, but I think what people have got to understand is that's something that's loosely talked about a lot. Healers throw that about in holistic practitioners. But what we've got to understand is that pain is there also for a reason. And although there's a lot of chronic pain conditions where actually technically they'll say there's no longer anything wrong with that area of the body, there's nothing structurally or nerve wrong, it's just the body's now tricked you to feel the pain. There is situations like that. There is also situations where the body has got some sort of damage, and if something is kind of, the easiest way to explain it, so if someone has had a joint problem, right, and crumbling of the joint, right, or they have had some sort of nerve damage and it's hitting off something else in the body, what you've got is a situation where something else they either need addressed, or we find a way for the body to relax as much to take the pressure, okay? And if I go back to posture, and I think this would maybe explain what I mean. I studied, I went to a course on that Alexander technique, and then I went for a year's, it was every week, year's sessions, at a time in my life when I had been what you would class as mostly housebound and bedbound. I was really ill and I really struggled at times even to walk to the toilet in the house. I had no energy, I really struggled. And anytime I did able to get out, I could pay for it for weeks. And I had a whole issue with stamina. Walking was really, really hard for me, and my muscles would shake with weakness. And I came across Alexander's technique, and one of the theories was about how modern society has, our posture has got really bad, just the way that even if you think about chairs that we're given as children to sit on, and the way our cars are designed, even the way our beds are designed, even though we maybe design things that are supposed to be ergonomically, we've the way we've evolved, it's not exactly healthy for our posture and for our back. So a lot of us, these injuries that we get, right, it's not just about the accident or the trauma, it's the way that we were sitting, the way that our posture and the way we're holding any tension in our body. So that can cause problems. And one of the things that he showed me was that you could get, now I can't remember exactly, but it's at least about an inch and a half you could get in your height for most people by just doing the Alexander technique, because most of our posture was so bad that everything would be tightening up, like everything would be structured, everything in the body would be squashed. And by using the Alexander technique, you could free your body and you could get more. And it was remarkable. It was so remarkable. Now, I'm only 4'9.5" now. I can't remember. I think I still had lots of, it minimized my pain, but I still had issues, right? And I still had weakness. But I think he got maybe another ½ inch with me anyway, right? I would be lying if I said exactly. It would be at least ½ inch. I got more at the time on my height when I went with him. But my friend at the time wanted to be an air hostess, and she was too small for the air hostess, the company she wanted to work for. So she went, and she actually went, and I can't remember how many months. She didn't go as long as I did, but she actually got that at least extra ½ inch or inch that she needed to do that job. Now, she was a bit taller than me, so she didn't, she didn't need as much as what I would have needed. But anyway, what that showed you is how much the joints are all, everything's tightened up, everything's kind of squashed in when it should be more loose. So even if you have something that's been an injury, right, and it's a lot of trauma, it's important that we get the body as relaxed as possible. And sometimes we maybe have to do different things. It might not be just doing stress management. It might be going for manipulative therapies. One of the things that I found really effective, and just because of lockdown at the moment I can't get, but one of the things that I found really helpful was craniosacral therapy for bone and structural problems and nerve damage. It's quite an amazing therapy, but let's put it this way, mainstream medicine are quite but I'll give you an example. Years and years ago, I have a rare cranial condition, and it appeared as if the condition was starting up again. And basically, it's like a degeneration of the muscle tissue and the bones and things. So it can cause a lot of problems with the face. And I remember one session I had, and I came back many years ago, and my mum actually said to me, oh my God, because my nose was starting to I'm not saying fully collapse, but there was something going on. It was starting to, like, part of the structure was getting thinner, and it was moving in a bit, kind of thing. And my mum couldn't believe it. She could see how the guy, by his manipulation, had actually, my nose was straighter, and it seemed to be structure. Now, I'll be honest, the type of craniosacral therapy this person used in me is not exactly what most people go for. It was more an in-depth, and it was someone he was a trainer for mostly Europe. So he was someone, what he was doing in me was maybe a wee bit more extreme than most people would get for the craniosacral therapy, but it was remarkable what he'd done. And that was many years ago. And that took a lot of pressure off different things that was going on in my face. So we all have different problems, but the key here is that pain, and you've got to understand that when we're in pain, unless we are doing things to relax the body, and we know how to get the body to relax, and we know how to really what we call in relaxation therapy and stress management, the relaxation response. When you until you can get the body in a deep relaxation response, the body will really struggle because of stress and anxiety. And the reality is, without even pain, most people today are in the chronic anxiety or chronic stress cycle. And even if it's not like more chronic, more serious anxiety and stress. A lot of people have got lower levels of anxiety and stress constantly. So there is some sort of inflammation going on, and you might not be aware of it, but inflammation causes all sorts of conditions in the body. And it can play havoc with the body, with the immune system, and with all different things in the body. So the more that you can learn to relax, and one of the things that I would always suggest is relaxation therapy, and going to relaxation therapist or someone that's trained in that, because they can give you the right tools and techniques that will help you in the most safest and effective way, because there is different relaxation techniques and there's different things that are to do with the relaxation response, but some of them are more effective than others for pain. Okay, so it's really important. So if you can understand the chronic pain cycle as something that no matter what type of pain it is, you want to try and lower the pain. Obviously, pain, as I said, pain is a signal. And there's certain times, one of the things that I'm a wee bit wary about certain types of conditions or certain situations where people are just giving people things to eliminate the pain, when actually it's a condition that they can do something for that person. And basically the pain's been numbed. So the body's not, you're not able to say there's still a problem. But also what I would say, even though I have to be honest here, I'm not a big advocate of pain, like prescription medicine. When it comes to pain, there is some types of pain that, unless you can find a holistic and alternative, remedy that will work with pain, reduce pain, sometimes certain types of medication will help someone come off the chronic pain cycle, because they've had it so long. The inflammation is so bad that sometimes they need something to help that pain. Okay. And I know that for me, even though I'm very kind of, it's just, I prefer holistic and natural medicine. I know for me, for example, I was put on amitriptyline when I had speech problems. I had my cheek would shake with the nerve pain and had spasms and things, and I was really struggling, and I had horrendous ear pain. So for me, when I went on a small amount, it was amitriptyline, that helped me. Now, I'm not here advocating medicine, but I'm just saying that the pain cycle can be complex, but any pain management treatment should include someone doing things to relax, and also other things to manage other anxiety and stress in their life, because anxiety and stress, not just to do with your pain, but other things in your life are actually going to impact your pain levels. And that's why often people with painful conditions, when they're exposed to things that are either external stressors or internal stressors, and that can come in the form of situations or people, or it can also even things, as I said already, food and things. Food can be stressors to the body that increases the pain. So I hope that's helped. Thank you for watching, and bye for now.